It's no secret that good barbecue takes time, but just because you're busy doesn't mean that you need to go without. I've been working on some tips and tricks to get your barbecue fix in a lot less time. Today I'm making smoked pulled beef, and I'm using the hot and fast method. I'm comparing it to the low and slow method with a big twist. I've got two nearly identical chuck roasts, and I'm cooking them both on a Weber kettle with a little bit of pear wood for flavor. One of them is going low and slow at 225 degrees, and the other one is going hot and fast at about 325 degrees Fahrenheit. And here is the twist. The low and slow chuck roast is going to go for about 2 hours, getting a bunch of smoke and a beautiful smoke ring before I take it off and use another tool that I used in absolute desperation. But the results surprised me. I had people coming over in a few hours and I hadn't planned the food as early as that I should. I wanted to get some good smoked meat, and so I did this exact method, and as I took it out, I put it in an Instant Pot with a half a cup of beef broth and let it run for about 30 minutes so that way we could get fork tender. So is it better than the hot and fast method? I really don't know, and that's why I'm doing this comparison, because I wanted to find out. So if you have a lot of time on the clock but not a lot of time to tend to the meat and to the fire, you can get something like a controller like the Spider Venom or some of the other tools that are out there, or even a pellet grill, and that'll help you run the temperature for a good long time without having to manage the fire at all. And if you don't have that, something simple like a wireless thermometer will allow you to monitor the temp inside without having to go out and check the fire every 10 or 15 minutes or so. A lot of them have bounds, so if it goes below or above the range, it'll automatically send you alarms, so that way you can react if you need to. And the other day I made a low and slow chuck roast. It went all day long, but I spent almost no time on it, and it came out absolutely amazing. And a couple things to note with these methods: if you're doing the low and slow Instant Pot method, I always like to sear it like a steak before I throw it in the Instant Pot. That's because it'll help me to fake a bark, so I have a nice thick crust on the outside before I steam it to death. And if you're used to cooking low and slow, but now you're using hot and fast, going to a certain temperature and expecting the tenderness to be there may not work out in your favor. Instead, what happens is you need to go a little bit higher usually, because it's not just the temperature that makes the tenderness, it's the amount of time that it spends at those higher temperatures that allows everything to break down. And since hot and fast doesn't have as much time, it takes a little bit higher temperature to get to the same place. And to my surprise, both methods finished within minutes of each other. Both of them were about 3 hours from start to finish, to the point where you could eat them. But I still have some time before the guests come over for the taste test, so I'm going to leave it in a low oven for about an hour just to rest. Alright, so I messed that one up with the Instant Pot, and one of the challenges with this method is you're cooking inside of a tin box that you can't see inside, and you can't open up to take a look or check the tenderness of the meat. What I had hoped to be pulled beef ended up having to go to chopped beef because it wasn't quite as tender as I wanted. But another few minutes and it would have been just fine. So when you compare the Instant Pot and the hot and fast method, we found that the hot and fast turned out pretty good. It had a good smoke ring, it had crispy bits on the outside, it was pretty much everything that you would expect for really good barbecue. Whereas the Instant Pot didn't have as much time in the smoke, and so it tasted a lot more like a pot roast. And that can be a good thing based on preference. I've met a bunch of people that don't like a really strong smoke flavor in their meat. And it also works well if you're doing something like burritos, enchiladas, or throwing this into something else. You just want a hint of smoke flavor to go in with all the other things that you've got going. But as good as the hot and fast one was, it was not nearly as good as the low and slow one that I did the week before, that I just let go for about 8 hours until it was fork tender. That one had a lot more flavor and a much better bark as well. So if you're like me and you're more into low and slow rather than hot and fast, check out this video where I bust a myth about the snake method on the Weber kettle.